Marcy, Skylight, Gray, Cliff, and Redfield done. Now the long walk back to the lodge. 3:55 a.m., just signed in. Santanoni Range, let's go. The wind is whipping here in the Seward Range today. Just finished the Macomb slide and my legs are on fire. Well, I fell victim to the floating logs again. Made it to the top of East Dix. Peak number 3 of 5 for today here in the Dix Range. Avalanche Pass. On top of Rocky Peak Ridge. It's like a hurricane up here. Rain and wind here on Tabletop. Whiteface, number 6. Muddy day here on Street and Nye for number 7 and 8. Sunny and blue on Haystack. Algonquin, up in the clouds, number 18. Gothics, number 22. Panther, number 38. Allen, number 45. 7:12 a.m. Big Slide, Adirondack 46er. You're listening to the 46 of 46 podcast. December 30th, 2018. As I continue warming up for winter hiking on these smaller yet exciting Lake Placid 9'er peaks, the next one up was a Lake Placid local favorite, Pitchoff Mountain. Josh decided to come with me today to take in that cold winter Adirondack air. I was still dialing in the correct layers for my body while winter hiking, and today I wore thermal base layers on top and bottom, rain pants, gaiters, and nothing else on top. I was quite chilly as we prepped our gear on the side of Route 73 at the Pitchoff Cascade Trailhead, while cars whipped past us one after the other on this late December morning. But I found the layers today to be the correct ones, so that was good. Cold while standing around, the right temperature while moving. So with this in mind, we quickly got our gear in order, bungeed my snowshoes to my pack like usual, put on our micro spikes, and into the woods we went. Oh, and did I mention the last-minute game-time decision to bring Wilson the Silver Lab with us? Because he came too, and he would create quite a scare for us. But we'll get there. So we signed in around 10 a.m. One of the things I love about the LP9'er mountains is that they're small enough to decide in the morning or at lunch to go hike. They don't always require as much prep as hiking in the high peaks. So with that in mind, we decided that morning to go hike Pitchoff via the West Trail, since it was a relatively clear day, and off we went. Pitchoff stands 3,500 feet elevation, one of the only mountain trails in the entire Sentinel Range. It's about a 4-mile out-and-back hike from the Cascade Pitchoff Trailhead, though it can also be done as a traverse, beginning or ending at the Pitchoff East Trailhead further down Route 73, which is just over 5 miles. The mountain has some steep sections to climb, but offers an amazing experience at Balanced Rocks, a great location to spend some time on while you're hiking this classic Adirondack peak. So we started up the trail. This trail has a lot of changing terrain and elevation climbs, as well as boulder lookouts often throughout the trip, so there's plenty of places to stop for views while climbing, with excellent views of Cascade Mountain and the Cascade Lakes below. The first mile or so includes some gentle climbing sections, while also having some windy, somewhat flatter moments through the woods, filled with hills and valleys as you make your way up in the air along Route 73. About a mile in, maybe a little less, we came to the first climb, and the trail on this day required a lot of grabbing onto roots and digging our micro spikes into the ice as we climbed these parts. They were all pretty covered with ice. Wilson, on the other hand, he would usually take it upon himself to find his own way up, sometimes after a moment of whimpering, but most of the time he made it up without issue, usually just ran in the woods and then climbed on his own. With all of the leaves off the trees, the views throughout the hike are quite enjoyable, as you're way above Route 73 overlooking Cascade on one side, and through the trees on the other side you can see Algonquin and some other high peaks over there, views that aren't available once the leaves are on the trees. Pitchoff's trail is unique in the sense that it has a lot of gradual walking up because it has a long ridge line, interspersed with some steep climbs involving grabbing roots and climbing up on the mud and the boulders. With this in mind, here in the winter, all these parts were covered in thick, shiny ice. Nice blankets of ice to cover the rocks that you're trying to climb. Speaking of thick, shiny ice, around halfway to the top, we had to walk over an icy stretch of trail along a steep drop-off into the woods. Josh and I were examining how to cross it successfully, and then in the blink of an eye, Wilson the Silver Lab starts casually walking across it. And then he looks at us and he slowly starts to slide towards the edge of the trail. And then before we could even react, he slid off the side of the trail and dropped about 5 feet into the woods, landing in a pile of snow and blowdown. Josh and I quickly jumped to his aid to get him, worrying that the fall may have injured him. Thank God Wilson popped right up like a champion who can never be defeated, and he ran through the woods back up the trail. Whew. Thank God he's okay. That could have been really, really bad. So at this point, we now know how icy this 5-foot stretch of 12-inch thick ice really is, and it requires walking slowly, methodically, and really digging those spikes in. So over the section Josh goes, and then I follow. And now it's Wilson's turn next to try again. After a lot of whimpering and slight panic on Wilson's end, it was clear he was scared to go over it again, and rightfully so. So I backtracked and I went with him. I helped him over, which eventually entailed a whole make him go and jump so he moves fast over it to the other side instead of slow, which is what caused him to slip and slide off of it before. You know, that type of maneuver. He was very hesitant, but we got him psyched up and he eventually jumped over it like a champion again. After a few seconds of more whimpering, of course. Phew. All right, let's carry on. Up the trail we go. We're over this section. But meanwhile, I'm thinking, man, this is going to suck coming back down later. But we'll deal with that later. Soon after we passed the only other hiker we'd see on the day. A bigger guy, like us, out on the trail. The guy was super cool, and he was all teched out with a GPS and lots of other gizmos and gadgets. Real nice guy. The trail remained icy and snow-covered as we all continued climbing up some steeper moments, followed by some more leveling off, and then so on for a while. Still no need for snowshoes, just microspikes. And on this trail in this day, there were some sections that could have even used crampons. But I don't have any, so spikes it is. And being very careful. The trekking poles also helped tremendously. Soon we carried up a climb and came to a slight trail split to go to Balanced Rocks, which if you're not familiar with Pitchoff, is the place to go to on this mountain for amazing views. Huge balancing glacial boulders and an excellent place to hang out on a huge rocky outlook. This Balanced Rocks junction has a trail marker on a tree with arrows pointing right to Balanced Rocks and left to the summit, so we went left and planned to hit Balanced Rocks on the way back. Onward and upward we went. The final push up to the ridgeline to the summit from this point is probably half a mile, maybe more to the true summit. And it's a nice, gradual, albeit continuous climb to the top inside the tree line the whole time. Not very steep though, but a gentle and long climb to the summit. And while we were hiking up, it felt a lot longer than Josh and I remembered. And during this climb, there's a few places that feel like the summit because you start going back down. So knowing that this is also a traverse, we were starting to wonder, did we perhaps not actually go to the actual summit last time we were up here? Because the trail keeps going up and I don't really remember this. We carried on, and carried on, and carried on. And then eventually we came to the true summit. Ah, yes. I remember this now. The true summit is marked by a very large boulder on the trail. You can't miss it, because you'll have to go around it. You'll know when you're there. Standing 3,500 feet elevation, Pitchoff Mountain. We made it to the top for Lake Placid Winter 9'er number 6 of 9. The 80th highest peak in the Adirondacks. Once we arrived, we dropped our packs, ate a Snickers bar, and took it all in. A fully wooded summit with little to see as far as mountain views. Could see a little through the trees, but not much. But a wooded summit is better than no summit, in my opinion. Just below the peak is a little clearing of sorts, which Wilson was running around in. We didn't stay too long, maybe 5 minutes or so, because we wanted to hike back down and spend the majority of our time at Balanced Rocks instead, since that offers the more classic, hanging out on the summit type of experience. It took us around an hour to make it to the top from the trailhead, but now we were heading back down the long gradual trail back towards Balanced Rocks, which we made it to the split in a much faster time than it felt like we went from the split to the summit, which is always the case, it feels like. So once we got to that split, which I walked right past, thankfully Josh was paying more attention and noticed it, we headed the short 0.1 mile distance from the junction out to Balanced Rocks. Just follow the cairns around to the giant boulders out on the enormous rocky ledge. The rocks are glacial erratics left behind by the last glacier to pass through the region, and it is the place to explore, hang out, and spend an hour or so with almost 360-degree views, and very unique views, might I add. So we did exactly that. And of course, Josh and I climbed up onto the boulders and snapped a couple pictures, while Wilson stayed at the bottom whimpering because he couldn't make it up. And thank God he didn't try to. So we quickly hopped down and took in the views of the slides on Cascade, the town of Lake Placid, Moose Mountain, Mackenzie Mountain, Heaven Hill, Mount Van Hovenberg, and many more. Yeah, this Balance Rocks place is pretty awesome. Highly recommend it. Pure ADK is an online community and lifestyle brand that creates Adirondack-inspired apparel and goods. They're all about sharing their adventures and creating quality products that are a reflection of the outdoor lifestyle and activities we love in the Adirondack Mountains. Whether born and raised an Adirondack native or a frequent vacationer, we all have a common bond, those feelings and memories that the Adirondacks evoke in us. As a bonus for listeners of the podcast, they're providing a 15% off discount. When shopping in their online store, use the promo code 46podcast to redeem the offer. PureAdirondacks.com. Check it out. 46podcast. Pure ADK. Exploration Unbound. After about 25 minutes, and as the cold started to set in, we decided to keep making our way down the mountain. So down we went, sliding, carefully inching our way down the icy sections, and speeding up on the flatter sections, and then we were back. Not at the trailhead, back at that icy stretch where we almost lost Wilson the Silver Lab. And of course, the whimpering began. For maybe 5 seconds. Then Wilson, as many dogs tend to do, very easily found a simple way around it by just skirting above and coming down past the ice. So, that was as anticlimactic as it could have been for us. But I was pleased it was so simple this time around. You got to be very careful on the ice here in the Adirondacks. Even just standing on an icy ledge with spikes, you can just start sliding, and if you're sliding towards a ledge, good luck to you. Thankfully, Wilson's outcome from sliding off the ledge wasn't terrible, as it could have been a lot worse. So we carried on down the trail, crunching our way through the hard-packed snow mixed with frozen dirt since we didn't have fresh snow recently. Passing the numerous boulder lookouts along the Cascade Lakes, looking at the frozen waterfall coming off Cascade, and then we were back at the trailhead. We had the entire mountain to ourselves for the majority of the day, and what a great winter day on the trail it was. A great day here in the Sentinel Range. Another successful day on the trail on Pitchoff Mountain, the 80th highest Adirondack peak for Lake Placid Winter 9'er number 6 of 9. It would be a little while until I get back out on the trail after hiking 4 of the last 7 days, but next time on 46 of 46, Josh and I would take a winter trek up Hurricane Mountain, and it would live up to its name, in a scary moment almost blowing both of us off the summit thanks to the 60-mile-per-hour summit winds. Next time on 46 of 46. Remember to always leave no trace, do the rock hop, and if you carry it in, carry it out. See you on the trails. Looking for a way to commemorate your Adirondack hiking experiences? The 46ers collection from 46ers.com is a great way to do exactly that. Their unique lapel pins for each of the 46 high peaks make great keepsakes or gifts. Check them out at 46ers.com. That's 46ers.com.